guilty of associating partners to Allah. You're going to allow someone else to make lawful what Allah has declared unlawful. This is the same with the adoption, the same with the eyebrows, the same with the beard, the same with all these things, guys. That's why I tell y'all, be careful using this word haram. The same with the issue of masturbation. Remember that? The same with the issue of masturbation. Only Allah can make it haram, guys. If you cannot bring the evidence, the clear evidence from the book of Allah or the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we do not accept it. I don't care what Imam Shafi said. I don't care what Imam Godzilla said. It has to come from these two sources when it deals with the lawful and the unlawful, because these are laws. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? These are laws. Only Allah can make the law. Allah tells us this, guys, in many verses. So whoever accepts a law other than Allah's, you are guilty of associating partners with him. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us against that. And if whatever the action is, if it's an act of worship, not only are you guilty of associating partners, but you may also be guilty of innovation too. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he who introduces in our religion anything which does not belong in it, it will be rejected. So when you go around saying things are haram when they're not, you're introducing something new. So for example, if you go around saying that a Muslim woman cannot wear colors, you are introducing something new into our religion that doesn't belong here. So we will reject it. When you say, for example, a Muslim woman cannot give dawah, you are introducing something new into our religion which doesn't belong there, and it will be rejected. Let me remind you guys, although most of Muslims of the world will be innovators, most of Muslims in the world will deviate away like we see today, there will always be a handful. There will always be a handful. I repeat, there will always be a handful of believers who will be around to reject it. And as long as Laila Nasheeba is living on this earth, I will be of that handful to reject it. Understand that? Because that's what I'm here for. I am here to protect, to preserve, to enforce the sunnah as long as I'm living. So whether you like it or not, which some of those women out there on the internet don't like it because they're not true callers. They don't know Islam. They shouldn't be teaching Islam to anyone because they don't know this religion. And they're giving you wrong information. They're telling you things that are not true. Well, long as I am here, I will reject it. Because I'm one who protects and preserves the sunnah. Whereas you are one who follows fatwa. Okay? Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he who practices an act of worship that is not endorsed by our religion, it is to be rejected. It will be rejected. It will be rejected, guys. Okay? So this is something that Muslims have to understand. Only Allah has the authority to make laws. He's the only one that has the authority to make the laws that govern our lives in regards to worship, in regards to dealing with each other, handling our disputes and all. Again, we're not speaking about laws such as the laws on taking out the garbage, or what days of the week can we vote for the garbage man to come. We're speaking about laws that affect the way our behavior. Only Allah has the authority to make the laws that affect our behavior. Okay? Anyone else who tries to make laws that govern our behavior towards each other, or our behavior towards Allah, it must be rejected. Any other law which is legislated by someone other than Allah or the Prophet for judging our disputes, it must be rejected. And Allah speaks about this in the Quran. For example, in the interpretation, the meaning, do they seek the judgment of the pre-Islamic days? And who is better than Allah as a judge for people who have firm faith? Again, you guys are Muslims now. You are Muslim now. So what are you seeking judgment from the Kafir court in regards to your children, when Allah tells us how it should be? If the children are young, they should be with the mom, the mother. When the kids get older, teenage years or whatever, if the father wants them, he can have them. And you should be glad to give them to him. SubhanAllah, it's hard raising teenagers. They need to be with their father during that time. Or you two can decide together. The man may decide you can keep the kids. Okay? Or you may decide, hey, you know, I'll keep the girls and you keep the boys. Okay? You can work it out however you like with that. What is the need for going to a Kafir court? Okay? And the deal, you hold off your comments for the end of the class. And children don't have a choice because they children. Children don't run nothing. And you should know that. Okay? So again, guys, the right of legalizing and illegalizing belongs to Allah and to no one else. And no one else is permitted to share in this right with him. Does everybody understand that? No one is permitted to share in this right with him. And this is why I tell y'all, be careful with that word haram. People are going to tell you it's haram to do this and haram to do that, and they can't back it up with no evidence except some opinion from someone. We all can make opinions, but the ruling is with Allah. Okay? So thus, guys, Allah considers obeying Shaitan and his followers in regards to legalizing what Allah has made unlawful as being shirk. Also, whoever obeys scholars and rulers in prohibiting what Allah has made lawful or legalizing what he prohibited, then that person is considered as taking your scholar as your Lord, to the exclusion of Allah. And this is what so many Muslims are guilty of today. There's one sister out there, you know, who calls herself a caller. She calls herself a woman of dawah, the one I told you about, who had emailed me claiming that I was interfering in her dawah. Well, I did a little bit of research on her, and my God, I hope nobody here is being dawahd by her, because she calls herself a person who propagates the Quran and the views of the scholars. Islam is not based on the Quran and the views of no scholars. SubhanAllah, Islam is based on the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, and that explains why every email she sent me, she always attached some scholar's quotes instead of putting some hadiths in there. Okay? You know, we have to understand, guys, that we do not blindly follow any scholars or rulers, especially when it comes to the lawful and the unlawful. If anyone tells you something is unlawful, they have to give the proof. If I tell you, for example, that you can't wear polish, I got to give proof. If I tell you that you cannot pray at a certain time of the day, I have to give proof. I cannot do that if